Hello everybody and welcome back to the Gaming Powerups. So today's video is going to be another honest review of mine, but a little different. I'm going to just have gameplay of a new game I just recently got streamed and completed within the last week, which is SteamWorld Dig. So as you can see here, you are a steam-powered robot and you are traversing a giant mine. So give you a little backstory on the game itself. So SteamWorld Dig, A Fistful of Dirt. It's a video game for the 3DS, PC, Mac, Linux, PS Vita, PS4, Wii U, Xbox One. It was originally released in 2013 for the 3DS, and it has a Dig Dug style feel to it, as well as a Metroidvania. So before I get any further, because I know that's a term that's thrown around a lot as a Metroidvania style game, what does that mean exactly if you're unsure? Metroidvania term kind of got coined when the games Super Metroid came out for the Super Nintendo and for Symphony of the Night, Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PS1. So the term basically means that they are kinds of games where you have a fairly large world, and the only way for you to explore all of it is you need to get your unlockables. So you may need to find a specific tool, a specific function, a specific upgrade, to be able to get you further down into the map, into the world that you're in, and be able to, collect, see, and do everything, and sometimes even complete the game. The plot of SteamWorld Dig. So the game takes place after SteamWorld Tower Defense, and at this time, all the remaining Shiners, humans, have gone underground. The story follows a Steambot named Rusty, who moves to a rundown town called Tumbleton after receiving the deed to his uncle's mine. He arrives to find his uncle is dead. He also takes his pickaxe and starts mining to uncover the secrets of the world below, discovering the remains of human civilization and even more advanced civilization. So that's kind of the plot out of the instruction manual, if you will, for the game. So yeah, you are a steam-powered robot, and you are tasked with uncovering kind of what happened to your uncle and what's in the mine. Alright, so let's get on to some of the different things you can look forward to in the game. So your starting point. You start off at the top of the mine. There is a spot to sell your gems, and there is another saloon that really only just acts as just to give you extra tasks to do while you're going into the mine. You can't actually do anything in there. So as you start to go down in the mine, you will be able to get gems and ores that you're able to sell for upgrades. The more gems you bring in, the more that to the trading post, the more shops that open up that you're able to visit every time that you reach the surface. So different shops is that you have one that is kind of like your general store, and then once again the more gems you bring in becomes more of the the next upgrade from a general store, I guess, kind of like a Walmart kind of thing. And the following shop is it's kind of like the fancier upgrades, where you kind of get all your last little bit of upgrades, your best armor, your best water tanks and stuff like that. So that's all at the surface. All that stuff is done there. And then once you go back and up and down in the mine, you have to keep going back up to the surface to visit them. So what are the weapons that you can use? So you start off with your pickaxe. So then you find a drill, and you'll also find a steam punch. So it's just a punch, because you can't dig while you're jumping. It has to be either just up, down, left, or right. For you to be able to get across to something, that's where the steam punch comes in handy. It kind of goes over, if you think of them just as being like little squares, you go over about 4 squares you can reach with a steam punch. So what are some of the items that you'll come in contact with? Dynamite. So dynamite's really good for clearing out a small little area that you need to explore or get into. It just makes real quick work of a lot of the dirt that's down in the mine. You can get ladders, which will help you get through your mine a little easier. So you can put them down. You can carry up to 5 at a time. and you can put them down, which helps you just climb faster to get back into areas, or maybe help you kind of get back into a tricky area. So because the mine doesn't regenerate the dirt that you've dug up, so if you've made kind of an awkward path and it's a little bit difficult to get to, throwing those ladders down will definitely help. What happens if you get lost? You can purchase little lamps that are little placeable lamps, just so you can kind of remember, hey, I was there exploring something, I wanted to go back there and check it out afterwards. You have the ability to do that. And another item that you have is your lantern, so you can upgrade your lantern as well. Your lantern helps you while you're in the mine, so you can see. Once it runs out of fuel, you have to go back up to the surface or defeat some of the enemies to be able to refill that again. But without it, it'll eventually just become black and you won't be able to see anything at all. So it's important to keep an eye on your lantern, especially when you first start off out in the game. So, being a steam-powered robot, you are going to need water, which will power your steam-powered robot. So there's little pools that are around throughout the mine that give you the ability to refuel your water meter, so that you are able to pull off your steam-powered moves, and then be able to use some of your steam-powered weapons as well, which is kind of cool. There's 3 levels to the mine. You've got your first area, second, and then the last bit is kind of the one that goes all the way down. It's kind of cool how they break them up differently. Obviously, the difficulty spikes a little bit in each area. The third one is kind of like a cybernetic, sci-fi kind of robots kind of feel to it. It's actually really cool to look at, but when you're traversing the mine, as you go down, you hit a point where you're like, okay, it just says I have to go down, and then you fall all the way down. And there's not a way back up in the mine until you find a portal again, or one of the little pathways that lead you back up to the surface. So made me definitely feel nervous because I didn't have a lot of health at the time, but it's kind of a cool overall. Out of the 3 levels, I really enjoyed the last one, just because it had that sci-fi feel to it. So upgrades that you can get throughout the game is you can upgrade your pickaxe. So it has it separates it into 2 different categories. With when you're upgrading is either enemy damage or ground damage. So it allows you to be able to pick different materials that are found in the mine. Same thing with the drill. Same thing with the steam punch. You can upgrade obviously your armor and your water tank. So as you can see with mine, I've got a fairly big bar for armor and water. That's just because I've had to upgrade it. So each one of those little rectangles is one time that I've upgraded them. So it's pretty cool. Once you kind of get it all fully upgraded, and I don't even think I have all of them yet for health and water, it definitely makes going through the mine a lot easier, especially with the water. The health obviously helps, and the armor obviously helps. But the water is the big one, because you end up really focusing on using the drill more than the pickaxe once you get kind of deeper into the mine, as the drill just makes easy work of all the material that's down there. So the game itself is a small game. It's, as I guess, it started off in the 3DS. It isn't a very long game. It took me about 5 hours to complete it. 5 hours and a bit. And that was just a lot of me getting lost and going back and forth. So I assume you can probably finish it in a lot less time than that, especially knowing kind of where you need to go and what you need to do. I just love how there's so many different platforms to play it on. Me having a PS4 and as well a PS Vita, it's cool to be able to have games like that where I can play it on my PS4, and then if I'm going to go on the go, I should say, I can just upload my save to the cloud, and then I just download it onto my Vita, and I can play that game on the go and pick up where I left off. So I really like how the developers really focus on that and that handheld aspect, because I myself really enjoy handheld games, so it's cool to be able to have the option to play something that I'm playing on the big screen, and as well being able to take it on the go. So a couple ups and a couple of downs for me. So we'll start off with the downs. So yeah, it's a short game. It's definitely a short game. 5 hours of playthrough of me getting lost. Like I said, you'd probably be able to finish off in 3 hours. It was a really cool concept, so I really liked the idea of the game. I just really wish that there was more to it. Once you kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it's just not very long. Another thing I didn't like is there's only one boss, so that kind of feeds into it being a short game as well, and wanting kind of more out of it. By the time I got to the boss, I didn't know it was the boss, so it was kind of disappointing. Once I beat him, it was like, oh no, that's it. Game is done, roll credits. So Also, the one thing that I really felt with this thing that, you know, may be a drag for some people as well, is it just feels like it's one big level as opposed to it being, you know, a multi-layered experience. And I mean that not just because there's different levels in the mine, you know, there's the 3 different levels in the mine, but it just because, like, once you kind of get through all of that, you beat the boss, it kind of just feels like that was like level 1, as opposed to it being just the entire game. Now, again, it's not a deal breaker for me, at least. I still really enjoyed the game, but it definitely had I think that'd be the best way for me to describe is it, you know, it just really feels like one big level as opposed to, you know, a full game. So now I know that they do have a part 2, which I did purchase at the same time as I got number 1, so I will hopefully get into that as well soon. So hopefully they kind of corrected that there, so it doesn't feel as if it's just one big level. So now, a few things that I really loved about the game, because I really did enjoy myself. I didn't find myself being like, I could care less for this game. I was invested in the character, invested in, you know, searching and looking for as many of the hidden items as that I could find. You know, the gameplay and the controls is smooth. It's fluid. It works beautifully. You know, the controls are simplistic enough in a way that they are not, you know, they're not too easy, but they're not too complicated. Like, you got a couple things going on with your items and your weapons and whatnot, so it doesn't feel like, you know, you can kind of get lost in the button pattern, and everything is customizable, which is wicked, because I mean, a lot of games don't do that anymore. So you can remap all of your buttons, remap all of the actions. You can have secondary buttons as well associated with it as well, which is kind of cool. You don't see that as much in games anymore. A lot of it's just, here's your button layout, and that's it. You know, you just kind of got to get used to it, or they kind of give you, you know, 1 or 2 different layouts, but to actually customize the entire control setup is pretty cool. You know, it's a cheap game, so it's about $10 normally. I picked it up for like $3 when it was on sale. It's a, you know, cheap Metroidvania style game, and I'm a sucker for those. I just really love the exploring aspect of the game, and I love being able to, you know, kind of be maintained in that world, but, you know, keep unlocking and finding new secrets that are around, which is really cool. And the last thing that I really liked about the game is it kind of takes place in, well, it doesn't kind of, it does take place in a steampunk style world, which I feel like a lot of games don't touch on, or at least a lot of the games that I haven't played yet haven't really touched on this, you know, subject or this kind of, you know, environment, which is a really cool environment to look at. You know, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it, which I thought was really neat. So that is my honest review on the SteamWorld Dig. Really cool game, and but it's short. So if you're cool with a game that is not that long, by all means, this is the game for you. If you're looking to have something that was like a 100-hour experience, unfortunately, this is not it. But I feel like if you get this game on sale, you won't be disappointed, and hopefully I can get back with doing the number 2 review and seeing if they kind of address some of these different topics I talked about in the second one. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you love the content, hit me with a thumbs up. Reach out to me and you know, leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about it. So thanks for everybody watching the video, and until next time, everybody, game on.